Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Alex.
I'm Jack.
We are one half of All Time Low, and you're watching Rock Sound.
Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound in a very swanky London hotel today, and for one very good reason, All Time Low are in town, and Alex and Jack join me now. How are you guys?
Doing really well. Thank you for inviting us to this hotel that we are not staying at because we don't stay at places like this. They don't let us in.
We stay at our mates' flats on the floor.
It's very true. We thought, All Time Low are around. Let's find the fanciest hotel we can.
And pretend that they're staying there.
And pretend that they're staying there.
It's all the illusion of rock and roll.
Keep up that illusion, guys. Welcome back to the UK. Genuinely,
Thanks,
it's lovely
man.
to see you over here.
It's good to be here.
Let's start with this album because genuinely, it is so good.
Thanks,
really,
man.
really love it.
You heard the whole thing?
I have heard
Wow,
the whole thing. I
good
know,
for
right?
you.
Benefits of knowing the PR over there. But yes, it's it's genuinely really, really great record. And I want to start with something we talked about last time when we saw you for Slam Dunk.
Yes.
We were talking about Getaway Green, which is on the record. And I remember you said, Alex, that summing up All Time Low songs, it's music for driving with the windows down. And
Absolutely.
that, to me, feels like this album. Would you agree? It definitely feels like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of saying it, implying the record back then. I mean, Getaway Green's just sort of a taste of the album. And I mean, this record very much feels like, I imagine Last Young Renegade to sort of be like this slick streets, neon lights, nighttime, dark, driving through a city or something like that. It's all car-based. I don't know why.
You're always driving.
I'm always driving. And then, this one is very much like going up the PCH, windows down, middle of summer.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe.
Works so well, really does. And what's
Thank
interesting as well is that you've gone back most recently to revisit Nothing Personal, and it kind of felt to me, and I think a lot of people who heard it in the office, it's sort of almost a midpoint. It's marrying those elements of Last Young Renegade and bringing in some of that classic Nothing Personal sound as well. How did you feel about it after the Nothing Personal stuff, then going into this new material?
I mean, I honestly think that the Nothing Personal tenure played into the record a little bit. I mean, obviously we had been recording the album before we did the Nothing Personal stuff, but I think just even thinking about the fact that that record had come out 10 years ago and stuff, that was all sort of in the back of our minds when we were making some of these songs. So I think inadvertently and unintentionally, maybe some of that energy kind of transferred across into the new music. But it was all being done through the frame of having just come off Last Young Renegade and writing these songs from where we are now in 2020. So I think, there's a really interesting balance to me of elements of all our records, which I think makes this stuff so fun.
And even like the writing process of Nothing Personal was the last time the four of us were like in the same house, recording writing the music together, and it was very much a similar vibe. And I feel like we channeled that. You know what I mean?
We keep saying that, but it's not like our last records. We're not in different buildings.
Right, okay, yeah, sure.
We just this was the first time.
A mic in 4 different houses.
This was the first time in a long time that we we weren't using a proper studio. So it's not like, I think one of the things that happens sometimes when you're renting out a studio is you're like, okay, we have the studio from noon to 10 p.m. every day. And it's like,
It feels like going to work or like clocking in.
For that reason, you kind of have to you get this subconscious pressure of well, I have to go in and deliver today. Something has to happen because we're spending money on this studio.
Clock,
and if we don't nail it, that's a waste. So going into a house and living under one roof and just waking up and eating, sleeping, breathing the music we were making together took a lot of that pressure away, because it was just, if there was a moment that didn't come together, just walk away, have a beer, hang out for a minute, watch The Office.
Yeah, nice.
Circle back, start trying again. And a lot of the best songs on this album came from moments like that, where it's this isn't working, let's step away for a minute. 20 minutes later, come back, write Sleeping In.
Yeah, a bit more of a relaxed atmosphere,
Totally.
just kind of feeding into it. How was it actually living together, by the way? How was that experience?
Super
Any
fun.
highs and lows?
It was fun. It was. I mean, we've been together so long. You know what I mean? And we hadn't seen each other in a while. So it was kind of like a little reunion, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, we do it so much anyway on tour, but it's very cool that 16 years into a career, you can put 4 30-year-olds under the same roof and nobody murdered anyone.
After about a weekend, Ryan's like, we need to stop drinking so much. The amount of alcohol.
Oh yeah, we're here to work. All right, this isn't a vacation.
Insane.
A lot of White Claws.
Oh, wow. Okay, fair play. Getting on that. Let's talk about the title as well, because again, like we're saying, it felt like coming from a more relaxed place, maybe a rejuvenated place. It seems like a very, very appropriate title. Talk to me about why you settled on that one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because that idea, that title, and even a version of the song, a very early version of the song, had been floating around for a very long time, from the early inception of when we started first writing for the record, and we had written Some Kind of Disaster. And I just sort of always had that in my back pocket. And for whatever reason, it felt like a really good summary of what we were doing and what was happening. It felt like, Last Young Renegade had kind of been this dream sequence, and now we were sort of snapping out of that and coming back to a more energetic, a more upbeat, up-tempo, happy vibe of an album. And it just, the way that the ebbs and flows of our album cycles went, it just felt so appropriate.
Yeah, it definitely fits really nicely. And I want to talk, of course, about the singles that people have already heard. Let's start with Some Kind of Disaster because, again, that feels like a perfect entry point because it does maybe cross the bridge from Last Young Renegade the most, I would say, maybe in terms of that sound. Is that why you kind of picked, why did you pick that as the first single?
It was kind of just one of those moments where we wrote it and it felt like we all sort of paused and looked at each other and said, this is the first thing people need to hear.
Yeah, we only had like 3 or 4 songs at that point, but we knew that was going to be the first song people hear and the first song on the record. So it's a good starting off point. But also, Alex, everything you say in the song is kind of things you've said in the past.
Yeah, it's a reflective song, and it kind of plays these two roles. It's about things that we've lived recently, but it's also a song that kind of speaks to the parallels of our music career, and it's all these things that I've said in previous songs that fans pick up on, and kind of asking the question to the fan base, like, are we going to do this again? Are you still in for one more? And so it kind of felt like it was very much inviting people back into the fold.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what a way to kind of really kick things into gear again with Sleeping In that's just come out, which is, I guess, more reflective of a lot of the rest of the record and that kind of type of sound. Talk me through the Britney reference in those lyrics, because we leapt up in the office when that one came on.
I was wearing a Britney Spears hoodie.
Were you actually?
Yeah, and Alex was like, what about this? And like threw it out there. You remember that? You're like, what about this? I'm like, holy shit, let's go.
I've always really liked referencing like pop music I grew up on in our songs in subtle ways. This one's not so subtle, but no, it was a fun line, and it was I liked throwing it in there, and I thought it painted a cool picture. And Sleeping In is honestly one of my favorite songs on the record. I think it really speaks to, like you said, the overall vibe of the album, and it's one that, in the process of writing 30 songs, I would always circle back to, and like it always felt like a refresher when I was feeling a bit like, is any of this good? Right. That was always the one where I was like, this is good. We're
Don't worry,
fine.
this is very good.
And it's just fun. It's like, it's a fun, tastes like lemonade when you listen to it. You know what I mean? It's just that.
And you're good with these metaphors. You're always coming out with these metaphors. They work well.
Damn lead singers and their writing styles.
I am a poet.
There it is, always. No reaction from Britney yet, I take it. It's only dropped yesterday at the time of recording.
Yeah, I'm expecting the call anytime now.
I hope so. I think she'd appreciate it. It's very it's a nice little name drop. It's very, very cool. And the music video, so much fun and such great reactions from fans. That looks like the most fun video to film, just messing about with pets for a day.
It was super fun.
Yeah.
I will say that I wish my dog liked me a little more.
Jack didn't really vibe with his animal.
I think he just was like kind of shy. Yeah. He was super well trained, but and such a good boy, but I think he was kind of scared of me, which I get.
Understandable.
Yeah, well, understandable. I saw Ryan put on his Instagram this morning as well that the cat, to use his phrase, fucking hated him. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't know that it hated him. It's I'm always very torn working with animals in music videos. We've done it several times before, and it's just tough because they're not actors, they're animals, and it's like as well trained as they could possibly be, there's always going to be moments where the animals are just like, I don't feel like doing this right now.
I think you'll find the shoot is ending now.
So it's like absolutely. you kind of have to work around their schedule. And it's the cat was
a great story that I was thinking about.
Tough.
Your mini horse ate your toothbrush.
Yes, I was brushing my teeth in that one scene with the horse, and the director off camera is kind of just like shouting directions at me, and he's like, the horse was interested in it and like sniffing my hand and the toothbrush, and he's like, brush the horse's teeth. So I go to give him a little brush, and he just chomps the toothbrush, and then like me, I'm like, no, and the handler comes running over, and she's reaching into the horse's mouth, trying to pull this toothbrush out. It was terrifying. I thought I may have just killed a mini horse.
I'm forever disappointed that is not included in the video.
But no animals were harmed in the making of the video.
Very true, very true. All handlers on set. It's all good. A couple of collabs on the album we have to talk about. Let's start with the blackbear collab. How did that one come together?
Mutual friends. We had been friends with blackbear for a while, but never thought to collab. And then Andrew Goldstein, who we wrote and recorded a lot of Monsters with, he was the initial producer on the song, has been doing a lot of the new blackbear stuff. So it really just worked out that we were all kind of working together at the same time, but peripherally. And then Andrew suggested, hey, why not send him the song and see what he thinks and what happens? We did. He came back with that second verse, and we were like, this just took the song to a completely new level.
Yeah. We're like, oh shit, all right, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's ideal when it comes to a collab or a feature or anything. I don't like feeling like the feature is just for streams or like, that's a big artist right now, we should reach out. I like it when it feels like there's an authentic thing happening, and that's another one where a buddy came through.
Yeah,
so it's awesome.
Definitely feels the same way on the track with the Band Camino as well.
Yes.
Like, what a nice fit there. You guys are quite good friends, right? You've
We are
a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they signed to our label. Johnny, our A&R, and I were like obsessing over them for a long time before they were signed.
EP is awesome.
It's so good. Yeah. And so, it's just, now that they're label mates and family, and it always feels good to me when you can kind of like help bring a new band into the fold. Not that they need that much help, but, it's cool to work with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Works really well. Here's something I wanted to ask two of you specifically as well, because I guess since the last time we talked, and since the last All Time Low material, you guys have worked on separate projects as well. And I wonder how that kind of feeds in, doing Who Hurt You and Simple Creatures. How did that feed into coming back to the band as a whole that you know and love?
I think for both of us, it was really freeing because you get to step away, and we both got to work on something that was very much not like All Time Low, and also had no expectations assigned to it. Yeah. There's no fan base built in. Obviously people were going to be interested, but I think people were always going to come into it with more of an open mind because there was just no parameters on what it could or should be. So it was very freeing to be able to go in with Mark, for me personally, and write stuff that had nothing to do with anything, and to just kind of see what came out and then put that out.
For me, it was more about kind of like being more comfortable with the writing process and learning how to write songs, and I think that kind of, I brought that into the recording process, and I just learned a lot, and I think it was super helpful because I just got out of the studio with Who Hurt You, and then maybe 2 weeks later we were in the studio with ATL. So I was in the mindset of like writing songs and being really excited for that. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's nice. Nice to see you guys kind of experimenting outside and then being able to come back and bring that into the fold. That's
for sure.
Really cool to see. Nice one. Well, it's always great to catch up with you guys. Last thing I want to talk about, I guess, is what's left for the rest of this year. We're no Reading and Leeds for a start, which is great. More live stuff you could hint at? We're going to see you back in the UK this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely coming back. The stuff's still kind of rolling out. Like, we haven't announced everything yet, but it's ATL, and if you know ATL over the years, we put out new music and then we tore our little butts off.
Nice.
So we will be back around.
And we're looking forward to it. Guys, always a pleasure. Good to see you. Record's great. See you again
Thanks,
soon.
man.
All right, Alex and Jack, everybody.